peace is very elusive in Sudan, as we've been telling you, as the situation remains deeply concerning. Yesterday, we spoke about the devastating drone attack in Deain Teaching Hospital in East Darfur that took place on March 20th. And I can tell you that the Secretary General strongly condemns this attack, which killed at least 60 people, including children and health workers. Since the current war in Sudan began in April of 2023, the World Health Organization has verified more than 200 attacks harming health facilities in the country, resulting in more than 2,000 deaths. The Secretary General demands that all parties abide by their obligations under international humanitarian law, which specifically protects medical personnel and specifically protects medical facilities and prohibits attacks directed against civilians and civilian objects. This is not the first time we've had to read these things aloud. He calls on the parties to immediately de-escalate the fighting and agree to a cessation of hostilities. Mr. Guterres renews his appeal to the parties to work with mediators, including Pekka Haavisto, his personal envoy, to return to the negotiating table to pursue a lasting ceasefire with a comprehensive, inclusive, and Sudanese-owned political process. We stand ready to support any genuine steps to end the fighting in Sudan. That statement has been shared with you. And just to give you a bit more alarming and tragic news from Sudan, our humanitarian colleagues are alarmed by the impact of escalating drone attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure. The UN Human Rights Office reported that between January and mid-March alone, some 500 civilians were reportedly killed in drone strikes. This illustrates so clearly the bloody and devastating impact of this increasingly accessible high-tech weaponry. In West Kordofan, local reports indicate that at least 17 people were killed and 25 others injured in drone strikes on residential neighborhoods in the town of Lagawa yesterday. In northern state, drone attacks in the town of Adaba on Friday reportedly killed a number of people and damaged an electricity substation, causing widespread power outage. And in Blue Nile State, local sources reported to us that more than 30 civilians were killed yesterday amid heavy fighting in Kurmuk town, which was surrounded and subjected to intense shelling and drone strikes. Some residents have reportedly fled across the border into Ethiopia. These incidents are just a few of the daily risks and suffering faced by civilians across the country. Once again, we reiterate that international humanitarian law, which cannot be cherry-picked, prohibits attacks against civilians and civilians' objects, as well as indiscriminate attacks. We also renew our call to all parties to facilitate rapid, safe, and unhindered humanitarian access for all those who need it.
Does the United Nations know who is carrying out these drone attacks?
Look, we don't have the forensic capability to do it. But what we have seen is that there have been drone attacks on places that were in the hands of the RSF and in the hands of the government, which leads us to believe that both parties have been using drones.
اللي انا ما خلو كرسي نادي دايما طالع ايوه خلينا دنقري راسك دنقري راسك الله يكرمك ان شاء الله ربنا يبارك فيك ان شاء الله طيبين مرحبا بكم ربنا يبارك فيك ان شاء الله طيبين مرحبا بك